Hello there and welcome back to 4Times in a Podcast. You join us on the 3rd of November. It is the day after Celtic were victorious in the Premier Sports League Cup semi-final against Rangers. They won the game 3-1 after extra time. Goals from Johnny Kenny, Callum Osmond and Captain Callum McGregor gave Martin O'Neill's team the victory that we so desired after a whirlwind week for Celtic. It's a full complement here, myself Darren, joined by Danny, Andy and Tony. So Danny, I'll come to you. It still seems pretty mad that 7 days ago, if you were to tell us that Martin O'Neill's Celtic would have been victorious at Hampden, it just seemed quite unbelievable, but a great end to a quite fluctuous week.
It's been a crazy 7 days. I mean, us last Sunday night doing the podcast after the Hearts game, you're sitting wondering, obviously the focus was on Falkirk, but we're all thinking about this game, and they think 24 hours later we were scrambling when they come on again to talk about Brendan leaving and Martin O'Neill coming in, and then yesterday's just, it's been crazy, but again, I think we all said that we thought Celtic would be a different Celtic, and we were so, after, me and you have said this for years, but you can always tell how these games are going to go in the first 10 minutes. Like, maybe know the result, but certainly like the way the momentum's going to go in the game and who the better team's going to be. In the first 5 minutes, Celtic were just all them like a rash. Started really well. Within about 2 or 3 minutes, you could see that I think he actually changed the system again. Rohls, or whatever we're calling him. He went to a kind of 3-5-2, and you could tell after about 3 minutes it wasn't going to work. De Giga, who is a fucking cart horse and always has been in that Rangers team, wanted no part of Tanecki. And we must have got in behind in the first 10 minutes about 3 or 4 times, and for a better cross or a better end product we would have scored. And I just thought there was a real physicality about our team yesterday that which usually been happening in these games, and even under Ange towards the end it started happening, where even in games we'd beat them, but we'd try and rely on beating them with our technical ability and try and pass them off the park. Rodgers was really keen that we played them off the park in these games, and then they turn it into a battle, and usually they came out on top, or they certainly have the better of it. But yesterday we won every battle in the middle of the park. I thought Engels was the best player in the park by a mile. I know Trusty get man of the match in the after telly, but I thought Engels was outstanding. I thought he was everywhere. He's just a workhorse. He works so hard. 120 minutes he was popping up in extra time, crossing the ball. I just thought he was brilliant. I thought he was everywhere. He's crossing, set pieces, delivery was great. Set up the first goal, and I just thought there was a real difference about Celtic yesterday. I did expect us to turn up and be up for it. I thought O'Neill would get them up for it, but there was a real a unit about the team that we've not seen in a long time. I'm a massive fan of Rodgers. I'd still have Rodgers as a manager, but we don't get that display yesterday. We probably turn up with a 4-3-3, try and pass them off the park, and you end up making players like Diamande and Raskin look good because we are focused on just trying to beat them perfectly, walk the ball into the net. But yesterday it was a real bash. It was a really good game. I thought we played really well. We should have been out of sight at half time. They came into it in the second half, and then in extra time we get the goal and pull it away. But it was a really good. I thought it was a good game, and I thought Celtic played really well. But I was just so pleased that we were up for it and we met them physically. And you know, we've get in these games you've got players leaving the boot in and doing that, but it was us when it was Trusty that left the boot in. But I really pleased, and then the reaction of the team at the sending off I thought was great as well. I think Maeda went and shoved them, sunk the boot in them, but the whole team were demanding a red card, which I don't think we've seen in a long time. The whole team were demanding that he got sent off because it was a fucking horrible tackle, but they were all united and they were really good. We met them physically, and there was only really, you don't like saying it, it's easy to say it now, but there was only really one winner, barring a kind of disputable penalty decision. So I'm really happy for Martin O'Neill. He's come in, and Maloney, I thought he obviously got it right. We were the better team and won the game, and we've got a cup final to look forward to now. I don't know about who'll be managing Celtic at the cup final, but at least we've got something to look forward to.
Yep, definitely. December 14th we'll take on St Mirren in the League Cup final. As you say, it remains to be seen who will be leading Celtic out on that day. But Andy, as Danny says, a great performance. I know the second half was a bit poor and Celtic let Rangers back in a game, but that first half performance, I says it in our chat, it's just Celtic were booting everything that moved and fighting for each other. It's Martin O'Neill's really had a real galvanising effect on this team, and they seem like totally different characters now. What was your thoughts on the game yesterday?
Aye, they were totally up for it. I think to a man, they were all just fucking working for each other, putting the effort in, and really sort of, like, you know, they've got the football ability, but there's always been that element, particularly in these games at times, where they're just lacking the physical element to sort of put it all together. And I thought in the first half they really, really showed that. they showed that they've got it. And I said it before, it's infectious when you've got guys like Sriracha and Engels and Maida just fucking busting a gut to be everywhere. And the whole team, to a man, I thought done it. I thought they were excellent. I thought they were all completely fighting for each other. And I think you've seen that any time they were starting their shite with trying to get the wind up or putting the boot into anybody, and they gave as good as they got, which is something that we've shied away from all too often. Just fucking hounding them at any opportunity, and I thought the first half was excellent. I think 1-0 was totally flattered them. It could and should have been 2 or 3. The goal that goes in, the first one, I'm still not entirely sure that should have been chopped off, but the response for that as well, I thought was excellent. Look, again, I don't know how many minutes it was between that sort of goal being not given by VAR or whatever, and then Johnny Kenny putting the header in for the corner. But the team just didn't take us out of stride whatsoever, which is again is something that has happened to us before. When we're knocked off our stride, it can take us sort of some time to get back to it. Obviously, the red card comes just before sort of game peters out a wee bit to half time, and you're thinking, right, just get back out here and bury them. They're there for the taking. Far better team the first half, but again, I mean, I don't want to focus on it too much. I don't want to be negative, but it's something that's happened a few times, particularly against them. But when we play 10 men, it almost becomes a more difficult game for us. Which, listen, don't get me wrong, I know teams will naturally sit in a bit more and make you work a bit more, but we very rarely properly punish teams when they go a man down. And I think, obviously, we were out winners in the end, but you almost felt the longer it went on and the longer that we didn't get that second goal, you just gave them that opportunity to score and get themselves back in it. But as that was coming, I was fucking fearing the worst, that it was going to fall apart. And the second half performance sort of, I think because we were so good in the first half, probably emphasised it a bit more than maybe it should. But again, I thought the minute extra time kicked off, it was we were back to it, just totally rampant again. And to be honest with you, I mean, we could have been fucking 4 or 5 in extra time alone. I thought there's so many good performances across the team. I think everybody who started brilliant. Sriracha, Engels, Nigrin, McGregor, again the captain, showing that he's got so much ability and so much still to give. I think Forrest, when he came on, I thought had a huge impact. The one he nutmegs Raskin and puts us in. I think it's Osmond who misses the chance, but you'd have been fucking seeing that replay for weeks and weeks and weeks for Forrest there. So brilliant. Osmond on him, I thought really energetic, and he could have had a couple of goals. Obviously, there's the one he's put in and sort of hits the keeper away, and then I think he had a header that wasn't far away faking in as well. So that boy could have had that trick himself. But aye, excellent, a really excellent sort of reaction to extra time. It's nothing phased us, went right back out and just went right back to it, which is strange because it's almost the first half in extra time. Where if you'd have put that all together, it'd have been something else. But aye, I think just the way the team reacted and the team has reacted is excellent, and I think you're just building on something. And you've sort of the team's got a bit of a swagger about them, and to be honest, just what Danny touched on, like, they will always try and turn these games into a bit of a fight and a bit of a sort of physical game, and we don't always react so well to that. But I was really impressed and really shocked with what I seen for a lot of the players. I was starting to doubt some of them had that in them. So aye, excellent, just brilliant to see Martin O'Neill back at Hampden winning games, and to be honest, given my feelings towards this game about a week ago, totally shocking that, in a good way, that we're sort of on the flip side now. We've come out of it, despite it only being 3-1, we could and should have been 4-5-1. We had a really, really strong performance in a game against them, and it's not something we've done even when we've beat them recently. We've sometimes not been brilliant. So aye, excellent, and really, really happy for the players, and as I say, happy for Kenny and Osmond and these guys who it's maybe no come off for them, and maybe listen, long term they'll maybe no be Celtic players in 3, 4, 5 years time, but excellent to see them getting that sort of extra 5 and 10% and getting these guys a chance and sort of showing what they're all about.
Aye, definitely. As you say, these players really taking their opportunity now. Tony, I'll bring you in. The shameful one on here who predicted we get beat. Would you like to take this time to apologise to St Martin?
Yes, well, look, there's an Irishman this week who has stood above all else, and he's really taken Celtic by the scruff of the neck and dragged us through this week. 2 magnificent wins. So I'd just like to apologise to Dermot Desmond. No, no, I'll not be apologising to him, but I will apologise to Martin and Sean Maloney, because I thought yesterday was excellent in the most part. As people who listen to this podcast would have noticed how kind of flat I was about it, and even getting into the game, sitting watching it, I was quite flat. And then it kicked off, and we started getting joy in behind, and I was like, Jesus, I've been praying for us to do this against them. Get the ball in behind quick and see how you go. And we just seem to get so much joy for it. I think it's exactly what Celtic needed. It's what the players needed. It's what the fans needed. And it's obviously magical for O'Neill and Maloney. The club has been in a bit of a kind of, the atmosphere's been dreadful, or the fans have been at each other's neck. There's been a lot of kind of major issues, and I'm not excusing those issues or saying that those issues have gone away. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. But last night, for what I've seen, the videos, talking to people who were at the game, everybody seemed to have a big party because we beat them. And I don't think you could take away from that. I think you can isolate the ongoing stuff for now, and I'm sure that will continue on. But I think it's appropriate just to take yesterday for what it was, which was an excellent result and another chance to win a cup when we get to the final. Tough game, really tough game. Great manager, Stephen Robinson, and a solid side, St Mirren. But I think you can only just be happy. There were so many performances that you didn't really know if they were there. Like Maida hasn't been anywhere near it this season, though he was excellent. Engels, I think us in this podcast think there's a player there. He proved there is. His deliveries at times are excellent. I think whenever we score for a corner, it's usually him that's taking it. McGregor, captain, leads away. Delighted for him. He's taking a bit of stick for us as well, and kind of speaking about maybe getting rid of him or not getting rid of him, phasing him out. I thought his goal was brilliant. I thought the keeper maybe could have done a bit better. I think it was Danny says it as well. I was jumping for joy when Asgard got sent off, just because every player just lost the plot. Bit of the dark arts, but sometimes you need that. Like the Huns would do that to us if they thought they could get us sent off. So sometimes you need that. But I thought it was a perfect kind of derby performance. It wasn't overly technical. It wasn't rocket science. It was kind of common sense. Put pressure on their shite players and they'll probably make mistakes and you're going to get joy. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, I must admit, I thought the Huns were bad. I didn't think they were that bad. They are poor. For what I watched there, really, really poor. So it was great. Delighted for Osmond. I mean, what a fucking start to your Celtic career. You have to wonder, why was he never given a chance? I mean, he seems a perfectly decent player for our level. Don't know again if that was Rodgers maybe sending messages, but I wonder if he's maybe regretting some of his decisions now. Who knows? Don't know if we'll ever find out. Johnny Kenny, again, somebody that's kind of much maligned, but great header. And yeah, it's something that nobody's taken that away from. He scored in a semi-final win over Rangers. So, in the end, I mean, the second half, I thought we lost control, and Andy touched on it, and we were talking about it last night. We've got a terrible habit of going a goal up, the Huns go down to 10 men, and then we just don't seem to know what to do. We seem to lose control, and it's very bizarre. I don't know if it's a mentality thing, but it happened twice under Brendan, his first year back, both at Celtic Park, or 2-0 up actually, and they lose a man either at the end of the first half or the start of the second half, and you think, right, let's get 5 or 6, and then you're hanging on for 2-1, so I don't know what that is. It needs rectified, that's for sure anyway. We need to make sure we kind of gear that a bag going forward and remain control. But again, we could have been out of sight. Forrest hits the bar. I think you touched on as well. Tanecki get in behind right at the start of the second half. The offside goal's a strange one. There seems to be there's a refereeing conspiracy now. For me, I'll go through them. The offside goal for us, I think they'll need to look at again. I don't know if that's a definitive offside. The Asgard red's a red, Trusty's a red, and the guy Cornelius should have been sent off for a red as well. The penalty, I think, is extremely harsh. I don't know what Anthony Ralston's meant to do. If his hand's not there, it's going to hit his stomach. It's going to hit some part of his body. So, but see, to be honest, I couldn't really give a flying fuck. If Rangers fans think they get beat yesterday because of a grand refereeing conspiracy, then all power to them. It's nothing to do with your garbage recruitment or anything like that. It's actually Nick Walsh. But look, it's always great to beat them. Always great. And I just don't know where we go for here. I think there's a lot of calls for Martin to get the job. There's a case to be made there. There is definitely. I'm not going to make that case at all because I think this is a chance for us to go, look, Martin, thank you so much. I think he should leave the day just somehow manage to increase his legacy. Just you can't say enough good things about him. The fact that he's come in 73 years of age, hasn't managed for 6 years, and dusts the Huns and their new manager. I mean, just absolute fairy tale stuff. So for me, I would just let him go today, and hopefully we've got a manager lined up. Maybe it's Knutson or Hayden for Bruges. Maybe you spend some of that 77 million and you entice these guys to come and you have a plan. I'm not saying that's what we will do, but that's what I want us to do. I think that would be an excellent way to unify the club, and then we can all march on. I guess for the cup final, you either give it to O'Neill and Maloney and you give them the chance to win a League Cup, which would be magical as well, and I get that side of things, or you get a new manager in, and that could be his first trophy, which would be a huge lift for him as well. Obviously, the flip side, you lose the cup final, there's kind of consequences to that. So there's a lot of kind of big decisions to be made by the people at Celtic. I'm sure this is probably not stopped, but probably relaxed a lot of people in terms of the protesting side of things. And I get that. Look, that was always going to happen if we win this semi-final. I says it for a long time. That'll kind of decide where the protests go. I think any notion of like disrupting a game or anything going forward just can't happen. I don't think the fans are going to be happy with that. I think the fans would probably be extremely angry because obviously the gap to Hearts is now cut to 6. You're in a final. The season is definitely salvageable. So it's going to be interesting to see how all that played out. But just overall, just absolutely delighted and well deserved the win. At 3-1, I was saying to you, I thought we were going to put 6 past them because they were just wide open. They just seemed to just totally chuck it. I thought we could get some score here, but it wasn't to be. But I would have taken 3-1 every day of the week. So I just unbelievable credit to Martin and Sean and all the players. They're delighted, just absolutely delighted.
I thought we were excellent. I thought right the way through the team there was barely a failure. I thought that Amanis took a lot of stick towards the end of last season, and at the start of this one, some deserve, some no so much, was Kasper Schmeichel. So many people had so much to say about him playing the Scottish Cup final last year, and obviously makes a massive error that essentially costs us the treble, and people have been wanting rid of him since. I know he had a bit of howler against Braga as well, but I thought he was absolutely excellent yesterday. I think he had one dodgy pass early on in the first half, but then after that I thought he was genuinely outstanding, and I think that he deserves credit, him and Callum McGregor, because do you think of people who are blamed for that Aberdeen game? People are saying, blame the captain, blame the keeper. I think Alistair Johnson got a lot of stick as well, but if you focus on they two, like that was their first trip back to Hampden since then. I thought the two of them really stood up and were brilliant. I thought defence, the centre-half pairing, we gave him a lot of stick, but Liam Scales I thought was excellent. He especially had one towards the end where he made a great recovery tackle on Gassama, I think it was. Trusty was a bit silly with his flick out, but I mean, I thought other than that, he was excellent in terms of, he was so good at busting into them and then sort of starting attacks, because he was just sort of bounding into their half. The fullback, Sriracha, was good, and Ralston is a tough one. He gets his booting. I was sort of hoping Rodgers, that's how much a whirlwind it's been. I was hoping that O'Neill would maybe bring Donovan on, just because I thought that Ralston was a danger of getting sent off. In the midfield, I think what we've done, we've just tweaked it ever so slightly, and Engels has just given McGregor that bit of backup slightly deeper, and I think the two of them were excellent. And then Nygren didn't have much opportunity, obviously had a great header saved early on in the second half, but played well enough. Thought Tuneki was the best player in the park the first half. I thought he was getting joy every time he attacked, and Johnny Kenny, we've spoke about him quite a lot in terms of whether he'll make it or no, but I thought whatever he gives you, he's just a complete workhorse. His movement's great, he's fast, and he was unlucky, especially when he got that second one just after he scored, because it was a fantastic save. I thought we kept the shot low and hard, and I thought fair enough, it's a good save from Butland at that one. And then obviously Maeda, as you alluded to, is back to what we're expecting for him, where he's at the sort of forefront of everything, and I just delighted that it looks like we'll get the old Dyson back, and we never know, he might leave in January, he might still want to move, but while we've got him now, it's definitely an asset to have. And then players that come off the bench done well as well. Andy gave a shout to James Forrest. I thought he was absolutely excellent, and I thought that he was really unlucky, as you said. Callum Osmond, that was probably the the guilty chance that he missed the most, that one that Forrest put him through, it was a great ball through. And Osmond himself is like, I'm sort of in two minds about it, because I think Neil sort of alluded to it in his post-match as well. If we'd have somehow lost that game in extra time or penalties, Osmond would have been sort of, this is what you've left Neil with. So I thought Osmond was good when he came on, but people are using it as a massive stick to attack Rodgers with. But I don't think he was really like scoring 5 or 6 in each B team game he was playing. And look, Rodgers, with our strike options this year, he probably should have got Mary a look in, but nobody's saying like Inamura and Yamada are named squads, but nobody's backing up Rodgers saying, Rodgers must have been right about them. But as soon as it's Osmond that gets his goal, and was delighted for him, but it's getting used as a bit of a stick. I think we've got a bit of a toxic support in that sort of way when people leave us, that we can't just let them move on. It's got to be that was Rodgers' fault, that was that. So delighted for Osmond, and hopefully he can kick on. Obviously, if you have got Kenny and Osmond playing well, and Iheanacho's probably no far away from getting back in as well, and you've obviously got the Maeda option as well, you're looking not too bad until December. Then I still think we need a sort of senior striker brought in, but remains to be seen what will happen there. I thought, as I said, I thought the first half would just seem to, like, you call it dark arts or whatever you want, but it was sort of, we were kicking everything, we were pushing them, and then, as you mentioned, for their red card, that just about every player was charging at them, which is what you want to see. And it shouldn't have been enough. First red card, that Cornelius tackle's an absolute terrible tackle, and I was at a game, so I'm not sure how long they looked at it, if they did at all, but it seemed really quick that they moved on from it. I actually thought Nick Walsh was absolutely terrible yesterday, the amount of sort of clean tackles that he pulled back against Celtic, and then later on in the game there was a throw-in that VAR sort of pretended they were looking at handball, which happened to last all of 10 seconds. I thought Walsh was terrible. The penalty, I don't know the exact ruling, I don't know what else Ralston's made today. I think he's sort of pushed, and that's why he's sort of fallen in that sort of position, and his arm's tucked in, and I've got no idea how it can be given that way, but they scored it, and then it was after the extra time we just realised how big the Hampden pitch is, and we thought, right, you know what, they're not really playing in midfield. If we just sort of use this big space in the pitch and move it from wide area to wide area, we can just sort of pick them off, and we did. Callum McGregor scores a brilliant goal, and then after that I thought they had another sort of 5 minutes where we let them back in. I was thinking, what the fuck is going on? It seemed that every time that we took the lead we would let them back in it, but eventually they just sort of ran out of ideas, I think, and great to see Kieran Tierney come on and get an assist as well for Osmond. So it just shows that, look, a week's a long time in football, and we're all sort of buzzing again, and that's how quickly it can change. Hopefully it keeps going. I know we've got a load of tough games coming up this month. I think we're away to St Mirren, away to Hibs as well, so the tough games are going to keep coming, so obviously momentum's going to be massive for that. But delighted for O'Neill, whether that means that he's here till the cup final or no, but I'd quite like us to get a manager in the next international break. I think the way Martin O'Neill's speaking, he would quite like that to happen as well. Hopefully we can get that sorted this week. And then I've said to you in group chats, I'd love it if we come out on Friday and says, look, we've got a new manager, we're going to announce him during the international break. The Kilmarnock game on Sunday at Celtic Park's got to be Martin's last game, because I think the atmosphere would just be electric, and Martin O'Neill would get that send-off that he didn't really get the first time around. I know he obviously won the cup, but I think it'd be brilliant if he had 60,000 at Celtic Park, just sort of giving him the ovation that he deserves. Danny will quickly run through the refereeing decisions, as it's been obviously a conspiracy. Rangers can't lose games. We've been cheated, but I don't know if it was just me, but I thought Nick Walsh and the VAR team were terrible. And did you think they got any of the major ones massively wrong, or how do you think they got them?
I thought the whole game Walsh was clearly trying to keep Rangers in it in the first half. I think, I might be wrong, I think I counted 4. I think a couple were involving Maeda, but there was certainly one, I think it was Shemetti, was trying to break up the path. Celtic at this point were Royal Rangers, it was about 20 minutes in or something, and Maeda goes to get his body in the way of the ball, but he kind of falls over, and Shemetti tries to kick it and falls over, and he just gives a foul and there's no contact, and he must have gave about 4 or 5 that way, and he just, every time Celtic broke away, he was pulling them back. There was one in the second half. No, was it still the first half? It was still the first half where Ralston who played a 1-2 with Engels or something, or McGregor, and get fouled. I think it was Engels, and he get fouled. Raskin brought him down, and he brought it back, but he never booked Raskin when he brought it back, and I'm sure it was Ralston or Maeda was like away down the line. I'm sure it was like they were away down the line and behind, and just felt like every decision it seemed to give was like just to bail Rangers out of trouble. He gave them some amount of ridiculous free kicks. The big decisions in the game, the red card for Asgard, a red card. I mean, I don't think anybody can have any complaints there, although some of them probably try. I think Ralston gets his body in the way of the ball, gets the ball first, and Asgard stamps on him. I think it's a clear red. The trusty one for me is if he would have sent him off, I don't think he could have any complaints. But I just remembered, I actually seen it on Twitter, and it reminded me that Stephen Fletcher actually split Joe Hart's head open and only get booked for it a couple of years ago. So probably a booking must have been right then. I don't think there's too much contact in it. I think Butland, like Ralston, did a wee bit milked it, and quite he was right to do so to try and get his man sent off. But just every Rangers players, every time they get a foul, they were wanting somebody booked. The one with Maeda and Diamante, they actually want Maeda sent off for that. Like, how bad do you need to be? Like, how desperate do you need to be to want a red card there? Like, and they've got this, Everton's black and white with them, where it's like, oh, well, 4 plus 4 equals 8, so 8 plus 8 should equal 8. That's so fucking thick. And like the way they go on, and it's sort of that, like even Emma Dodds at half time, is there any difference between Trusty and Asgard? Well, aye, somebody's like flying in with a kung fu kick versus somebody leaving their foot in, like in case the keeper drops the ball. Like, it's pish like this that empowers these people, and these people walk among us. And for them to come away from that game and say, oh, by the way, we were hard done by, like, they actually, if they might have a word with themselves, they should have a long look in the mirror, because that ref did everything to keep them in the game, even in extra time. Like, if the extra time, I think we're 3-1 up, but Cornelius just brings down Osmond. He's already on a book and he doesn't even get a foul. They're wanting Ralston sent off for a handball. Like BBC Scotland, that like after the game, if you'd have listened to that, you'd have thought Ralston would have picked the ball up and volleyed it into the stands. The way that they wanting Ralston sent off, and then there's like even that Ref's View podcast who said, "Oh, we don't think it was a penalty, but Ralston should have been sent off." You're like, well, no, you can't. Like, you can't have it both ways. Like, if it's not a penalty, it can't be a red card. I thought it was. I didn't think. I don't know why Nick Walsh gave the penalty. I don't think you can see it that it hits Ralston's elbow. I think he just guesses like most of the decisions, and it was a chance to give Rangers a penalty. I don't think VAR would have gave it. If it went to VAR and they gave it, then I would have been like, fair, did it hit his horn or whatever. I think Scales was going to block it anyway. But they've said something about shots on target, should be penalty, so whatever. But I don't know why the ref gave it, because he couldn't see it. Aye, we all thought that, but he's no got a better view than anybody else. So I just really strange decisions the whole game. Cornelius in the first half should have been off. Raskin did well to stay in the park. Tavernier not getting booked for that foul on Osmond, but Osmond got booked for a foul on Tavernier. And there was a point in the second half where he just started booking Celtic players. He must have booked about 4 in the space of 5 minutes. I think it was a couple of people's first fouls. So for them to come away and say that they were hard done by, the club are expecting answers for the SFA. Like, the SFA should tell them to go fuck themselves, because they're bringing the game into disrepute. For years and years and years, they've been walking about. Chris Boyd's been doing it with his big stupid fucking face on the telly. Ali McCoy's been doing it on the radio. They all go, paranoia, la 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 la, it's all paranoid, it's all a conspiracy. And now look at them. Like, the ref, they actually watch a referee try to keep him in the game, and they came out greeting. And it's so embarrassing. Like, their team were second best. Their manager, they should be more worried about the fact that their manager tried to play us, beat us in extra time without a midfield, and they're already done a man. But I just embarrassing, and for them to think they were hard done by is a new one on me. But you know what Tony said? Tony was right when he said it. It's good. It's actually a good thing for us if they think that, because this Celtic team's on its knees and they are a miles away from us. They couldn't lay a glove on it. Don't get me wrong, they missed a few sitters. That's your mate. He's a good laugh. He missed 2, really. I mean, the first one's an absolute sitter. The second one, he should be doing better as well. So they did, and they did have their chances. Schmeichel had a great game, but if they're not able to beat this team, this Celtic team, they didn't compete with us either. They were totally out of the game. I thought they played better in the second half, but they were only ever going to score if it was a penalty. So, aye, good luck to them if they think that the ref's the reason that they didn't win. But I'll be looking forward to a final.
I definitely, I think you've covered it quite well there. I think in the space of 15 second half minutes yesterday, he booked 4 Celtic players. The 51st minute, Anthony Ralston get booked, and then by the time Arnie Engels got booked in the 66th minute, he also had Maeda and McGregor in there. It was quite a performance. As I say, I thought Walsh was terrible, and no doubt he'll be rewarded at some point with either the cup final or the New Year derby. We'll soon see. Andy, just before we move on to the Michelin game, quickly, do you think that Martin O'Neill will be the man to lead us out in December, or would you expect the club to act before then?
Oh, fuck, I've long gave up trying to predict what this Celtic board will do and what decisions they'll make. I don't know, and I probably agree with Tony. I think I would like it, whatever happens, for O'Neill to just go out in a high, and it's probably a perfect way to do it for him. Whatever the technicalities of how the sort of coaching team's made up and what their roles are and various things like that, I still got that sort of voice in the back of my head that's saying they want to get him Maloney and they're going to try and get Martin O'Neill to endorse it before he goes. But I really don't know. I think, to be fair, I think if they think it'll sort of get fans off their back and they think they can quell a lot of the anger by appointing Martin O'Neill permanently for the season or whatever, they'll do it. But I really don't know, Dan. As I say, I've long gave up trying to fucking predict what they're going to do next, because sometimes I think they just fucking roll a dice and see what happens. But no, listen, I would like him to go out in a high and no sort of potentially lose a league or whatever else. I think he's done what was required to come in, won 2 very important games, gave a lot of players in the team a bit of belief, bit of a swagger back, and I think it's probably the perfect time now, to be totally honest with you. Like, there's going to need to be a new manager appointed. I think whoever comes in, it's right for them to get off to a fucking great start with a cup final. The team have shown that they're up for a fight domestically, and obviously you would hope that translates to Europe. The players are sort of, as I say, getting that swagger back. And if you come into a job and you go and you win a cup final, which with all due respect, you should be beating St Mirren in the cup final. If you go in and, like I say, that's a great opportunity to sort of lay a marker down for what your time and your tenure is going to be like at the club. So I would like O'Neill to get back half into the sunset and just with that addition on his legacy, and is to sort of appoint somebody for the future, because as I say, it's a chance to get off to a great start.
Definitely, as Yusuf says, I think it's a great chance for a new manager to get some silverware if they were to overcome St Mirren. And I think the big thing for me as well is obviously we've got that January transfer window, and I'd like to think whoever is in charge of that is going to be looking towards the summer as well. We're going to have some tough qualifiers next year that we need to be ready for, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I know we've got an international break coming up after Sunday, so maybe we'll do a wee special on who each of us would like to see lead Celtic for the future. I will move on to Thursday. Tony, were away to Midtjylland, who are currently top of the Europa League with 3 wins from 3. Notably had an impressive win against Nottingham Forest in Nottingham as well. They are sitting top of the table in that. They're second in the Danish league at the moment, and they actually do have a top of the table clash this evening as we're recording on Monday night against Aris, who they're 2 points behind in the league. So what are you expecting from this one? It's probably going to be a tougher game being away from home against a team that's in form, but do you think the fact that they're playing tonight in such a big game might help us in some way?
Potentially. I've got no idea why that's worked out, but they're playing a Monday then a Thursday, especially a top of the table clash. There must be outrageous corruption in their league as well. Maybe Nick Walsh is involved over there. Maybe that'll suit us. We've got an extra day's rest, I think. All we can really hope for is that we go there and kind of defend well. I think that'll be a much more difficult game than Sunday was. I mean, if we could get a result there, I think it'd be extremely impressive. As you say, they're top of the pops when it comes to the Europa League table. If we can get a result there, we still have a chance of qualification. Even if we were to lose, I think we would still have a kind of outside chance of qualification. I'd need to look at the league table. Yeah, it's another opportunity. There's absolutely no pressure on Maloney and O'Neill to go to Midtjylland and get a result. Even if they lost yesterday, you wouldn't have been panning them. It would certainly not have been their fault. So I think they've got everything to gain and nothing to lose. So obviously Osman's not in the Europa League squad. Somebody told us that we can put him in because CCV's injured for more than 60 days. We can move somebody in. I don't know if that's entirely true, but we've been told that, so I'll put it out there, but could be total bullshit. But hopefully it's not, and maybe he's the guy you kind of put in there, because he must be buzzing. He must want to be playing every game now. He'll just have a total new lease of life. In terms of how we would line up, you think we'd probably go the same team. I don't see why you would change it. Mind you, if Johnson's fit, I would probably bring him in, but I don't think you would just throw any actual right back in there. But we'll see how it goes. But I think we'll probably enjoy this one for another couple of days, and then just a huge opportunity for us in Midtjylland. I think last time we were there, we took the lead. Callum McGregor scored an absolute screamer, but we just didn't have enough. We hadn't recruited early enough. Well, what a fucking surprise. And we went out in our arse. So I was under Big Ange about 4.5 years ago. But hopefully we can get a positive result. And it's mad how quickly the season can turn. Hearts beat you, you're 8 behind, your manager resigns, and the whole place is on fire. Then Hearts draw, you win, you beat Rangers, you're in a cup final, you go and get a result again Midtjylland, you're back in it for all 4 competitions. I'm not saying back in it to win the Europa League, of course not, but I'm saying you're still in a chance of progression. You've got a cup final, you could make ground in Hearts in the league, you can get a new manager bounce when we do that, or you might continue to get a bounce through a Neil. So the whole kind of outlook and perspective has changed, but again, I'm not going to jump the gun and say that this is it, we're going to win the league. I still have major doubts about where the league title's going to go, but I think, look, it's been a positive 2 games, and they should be enjoyed, especially beating them. I'm never going to try and put a dampener in beating them, irrespective of what I think of the people who run Celtic and shareholders and all that shit. Everybody's well versed in what we think. My only hope is the board kind of can see this as an opportunity for unity, whereby they maybe make the key decisions at the AGM where you remove Nicholson, you remove Mackay, you remove Lawwell, you bring in fresh faces, you revamp the football division, you bring in a top manager, you give them the money, and we start going, look, we're not going to hoard 77 million. You see, if you want to keep a reserve of 20 million, whatever, do that. But don't be keeping 70 million and putting people's season tickets up. I mean, that's fucking ridiculous stuff. So, look, it's been a good week for the board. It's been a great week for Celtic as a whole. So the ball's kind of back in their court. This is their opportunity for unity. I think they can make some really big decisions that would bring that, and that's what everybody wants. And I've said before, nobody wants to be protesting and boycotting and all this. Look, it's coming up for Christmas. Make the right decisions. Remove the people that haven't done their jobs properly. And by the way, Rodgers obviously wasn't doing his job properly, and he says that he was underperforming, so it's okay that he's gone. But don't be keeping Mackay and Nicholson and see, to be fair, see Lawwell, I don't really know if he's actually done anything wrong as chairman. I know I bash him, but I think he is just the bogeyman. Like, you need to remove him for that and that alone, right? I know that's not really something, you can't really put that on like a termination letter. You've been terminated because fans are terrified of you. But I think you just need to go. You need to kind of change it, and then that brings kind of such a positive vibe around the place. So, but big couple of weeks coming ahead, the AGM, yada yada. So, I hope the positive changes are made, and maybe the collective change, the no more penny thing, you get everybody back in the superstore, you get everybody feeling good again about the club, and that's what we want. Like, I would love them to come down and say, they 3 people have been removed, we're revamping football operations, we've went and get Knutson or Hayden or some good kind of large, very good manager, and we're going to invest heavily in January. Like, I would even maybe go and buy like a wee Celtic Dug Bowl for the Superstar. I do never dug, but I would maybe do it just to show how big a Celtic fan I am. So the ball's in their court, and I hope they make the right decisions, and we can get back to getting 30 views an episode when we're not ranting and raving like lunatics.
Aye, definitely. It's no harm to us if that happens. But Danny, I'll come to you. What you expecting on Thursday? As Tony sort of mentioned before he was sacking the board again, we probably need to pick up points away from home somewhere down the line. This is obviously a tough game to go in. They're 3 wins out of 3 so far. But would you be hoping that a more resolute team can go there and hopefully get something? I know Martin O'Neill's previous Celtic teams were pretty famous for not being able to travel well, despite being formidable at home. But what are you expecting from this one?
I think it'll be a tough game there, a really decent team. I watched a bit of them against Notts Forest, and I thought they played quite well. They'd be very tough to break down. They're at home as well, so they're quite strong. I remember that game 4 years ago. Celtic used to put them out, just with a bit of a horrible squad at the time. So here we are 4 years later with arguably a squad that's just as thin. But if we win or get a positive result on Thursday, then you need to start taking Europe seriously again. I know a lot of folk, I think the four of us included, after the Braga game, are like, right, things are going to shit. Europe's kind of a bit of a distraction now, but if you were to go and win there on Thursday night, you've got 7 points out of 12, and you can maybe start, you're halfway there in terms of the group or the league phase or whatever, so you can start to think, well, maybe we'll cling on for a playoff place or, kick on and get into the top 8. So there's no reason why we can't keep the good momentum, a good feeling about the club, but it'll be a really tough game, and we are quite limited in terms of the squad and that. They're playing a wee bit of confidence now, which is good to see, and hopefully they can carry on the Thursday night. But a positive result would be a draw. A win would be a great result, and just competing and no taking a down, I suppose, would be quite good as well. But I'm expecting a tough game against a good team who are towards the end of their season as well. So maybe I think these teams take Europe seriously. I think like Bodo, Glimt and Midtjylland, I think they really do take European football seriously. They see it as a way of kind of showcasing their kind of league to the wider audience. So I think they'll be right up for it. Bran, you seen a couple of weeks ago against Rangers, were really strong at home. So I'm expecting a really tough game, and just hopefully we can keep up with decent momentum that we're building.
Aye, definitely, as I say, momentum's an important thing in football. Andy, quickly, would you be making any changes, or would you expect it to be the same 11? And you can kick us off with predictions as well.
I think the team probably deserves to go and sort of start again with the same team that we started with in the semi-final, I think. I would try to think if there's anybody I would maybe mix it, but no, I think they've been performing well, and I think it's going to take energy levels at sort of to be the same to get a positive result away from home in Europe. I think we know that. So barring any injuries, I think it would be fair enough. Obviously, there's one or two who maybe feel hard done by the way things have went, but I think you've got to sort of go with the same 11 provided everybody's fit. In terms of prediction, again, it's a game I find really difficult to call because Midtjylland have been playing well. Obviously, they've had some great results already so far. They're contending for a title, but again, as you mentioned, they're playing the night. It's not a lot of time between games. Do you know what I mean? Especially if it's going to be a sort of hard fought fixture for them, which to be honest I hope it is. I'll be positive though, and I'll say that we'll win 2-1. Fuck knows who'll score, but aye, go for a 2-1 win.
I wouldn't mind that. I think, as you say, I think it'll probably be the same 11. Probably argue that James Forrest is on the cusp of deserving a start again, but the other front three played pretty well, I thought, as well, so it'll be interesting to see how we go. I'll keep up the predictions. I don't know, I think it'll be a tough game. I think it'll be one each. I'll go for Johnny Kenny to get the Celtic goal and it to be a pretty cagey game that I think teams will be pretty well matched, and I'd be quite happy with a draw, and it just gives us a point away from home, which would be obviously after Belgrade we would have took 2 points out of the first 2 away games, and then obviously you've got that home win against Sturm as well, and I think you probably need upwards of 10 points to get in the top 24, so I think that would keep that within touching distance, so you've got to be happy with it. So I'll go for one each and Johnny Kenny to get the Celtic goal. Tony, I'll take your score prediction.
I don't want to predict 2 defeats in a row. I think it'll be an extremely difficult game. I'll go the same as you. I'll go one each and Tanecki to get the goal, and I think that'd be an excellent result.
Danny, you can round us off.
I'll go 2 each. I think it'll be a bit of a basketball game, and I think Nigrin will score twice for us, but I think we'll be pegged back late on.
Well, there you go, 4 predictions, 1 win and 3 draws. We'll be back after that game to discuss it. It's an early kick-off, so I'm sure we might be able to get together late Thursday, or if it's Friday we'll still have it out before the Kilmarnock game as well. So thanks very much for taking the time to listen. I know it's another plus 40 minute one, so we appreciate everybody still taking the time to listen to the episodes. Good to have a bit of positivity for once, as Celtic have got a cup final to look forward to, and we're feeling optimistic about Europe as well. But from myself, Darren, and Andy, Danny and Tony, thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you later in the week. Hail, hail.